In the rapidly gentrifying neighborhood of Oakwood, where sleek condos were sprouting like weeds, amidst the historic brownstones and the aroma of artisanal coffee mingled uneasily with the scent of generations, old family recipes. If you are ready to know what will happen next, make sure you subscribe and follow. Brandon Carter, a man with eyes that held stories deeper than the lines etched on his face and hands, calloused from both years of military service and the everyday grind of small business ownership, quietly ran his modest convenience store. But little did the new residents, with their lates and venture capital dreams, or the lurking dangers simmering beneath the surface of Oakwood's changing facade, know that behind Brandon's unassuming demeanor lay a highly trained ex-special forces operative with skills honed in the world's most dangerous war zones and a past he thought he'd buried deep. The attack came swiftly, a crude symphony of racial slurs and shattered glass, as the gang, emboldened by their ignorance and fueled by a simmering hatred, stormed into Brandon's store, expecting an easy victory. But they were met with a force they couldn't comprehend, a whirlwind of expertly choreographed movements and raw, untamed power, as Brandon, with a grim determination etched on his face, unleashed the dormant warrior within, effortlessly dismantling their assault and revealing a combat prowess that spoke of years spent mastering the art of survival. Subscribe and follow for more exhilarating encounters. In the aftermath, amidst the groaning bodies and the eerie silence, Brandon overheard snippets of their panicked conversation, hushed whispers of a Mr. Harrington, and a plan to clean up the neighborhood, a revelation that sent a chilling premonition down his spine and hinted at a far more sinister game at play. A game that threatened not just his livelihood, but the very soul of Oakwood. The revelation hung heavy in the air, a suffocating blanket of conspiracy and greed. Brandon knew he couldn't stand idly by while Vincent Harrington, a ruthless real estate developer with a penchant for underhanded tactics, systematically dismantled the community he had quietly come to call home. He began his investigation, a shadow moving through the digital and physical landscapes of Oakwood, piecing together fragments of information like a deadly jigsaw puzzle, each piece revealing a darker truth about Harrington's insidious plan to force out long-time residents and replace them with high-paying tenants. Maria, a tenacious local journalist with a nose for trouble and an unwavering commitment to her community, became his unlikely ally, providing him with crucial intel and navigating the treacherous currents of local politics. The climax arrived in a crescendo of violence and confrontation. Brandon, armed with irrefutable evidence of Harrington's illegal activities, cornered the developer in his opulent penthouse overlooking the city, a symbol of the wealth he had amassed through exploitation and deceit. A tense standoff ensued, words traded like bullets, until Harrington, desperate and unhinged, unleashed his personal security force upon Brandon. What followed was a brutal ballet of lethal precision, Brandon's skills honed by years of combat, put to the ultimate test against a wave of highly trained mercenaries. In the end, justice prevailed. Harrington's scheme was exposed, his reputation ruined, and his dreams of transforming Oakwood into a sterile playground for the wealthy were shattered. The gang members, now stripped of their power and influence, faced the consequences of their actions. As the dust settled, Oakwood began to heal, the scars of the conflict serving as a reminder of the resilience and unity of its people. Brandon, no longer just a quiet store owner, became a symbol of hope and a protector of the community, forever bound to the fate of the neighborhood he had sworn to defend. Subscribe and follow for more tales of justice, action, and community spirit. With Harrington's empire crumbled and the immediate threat neutralized, a fragile peace settled over Oakwood, yet Brandon knew that vigilance was the price of freedom. The wounds inflicted by the developer's greed ran deep, and the subtle tendrils of gentrification still threatened to choke the life out of the community. Brandon, alongside Maria and a coalition of passionate residents, spearheaded initiatives to empower local businesses, preserve affordable housing, and celebrate the rich cultural heritage of Oakwood. He transformed his convenience store into a community hub, a place where neighbors could connect, share stories, and organize against any future threats. But Harrington's influence lingered, a poisonous echo in the form of disgruntled investors and corrupt officials eager to revive his failed vision. A new, more insidious plot began to unfold, veiled in legal loopholes and backed by seemingly legitimate financial institutions. This time, the fight wouldn't be on the streets, but in the boardrooms and courtrooms, a battle of wits and legal maneuvering where the stakes were higher than ever. Brandon, drawing upon his military training and Maria's journalistic prowess, delved into the labyrinthine world of finance and politics, uncovering a web of deceit that reached far beyond Oakwood's borders. He discovered that Harrington's agenda was merely a piece of a larger, nationwide scheme to displace marginalized communities and consolidate wealth in the hands of a select few. The fight became personal, not just for Oakwood, but for countless other neighborhoods facing similar threats across the country. The final confrontation took place in a packed courtroom, where Brandon, armed with irrefutable evidence and fueled by the unwavering support of his community, faced off against a team of high-powered lawyers representing the forces of greed and corruption. In a gripping legal battle, he exposed the intricate network of fraud and manipulation, revealing the devastating human cost of unchecked capitalism. Justice prevailed, but the victory was bittersweet. The fight for Oakwood's future was far from over, and Brandon knew that the struggle for equality and justice was a never-ending battle. He stood tall, a beacon of hope in a world of shadows, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that as long as the community stood together, they could overcome any obstacle. Subscribe and follow for more stories of resilience, community, and the ongoing fight for a better world.